my import's just completed. So where do we begin? Well, everything in Unity is managed through scenes. So I'm going to find this folder called scenes and take a look. And I provided you with a few different scenes. Now, sample scene is the one that just came with your project initially. You can actually delete that one right away. We're not going to need it. And in its place, we're going to open up level 1. Don't save the changes to sample scene. And in it, you'll find the scene that I showed you in the intro video. A bit of a level for you to play around in and explore if you are interested in testing the game out for yourself. The way you do this is the play button at the top, which is going to drop you right into an actual playable experience like I showed you in the first video. You can get a sense and a feel for the way that I've set things up. A couple things that you could experiment with if you're curious. If you click on the player, there's some settings that you can toggle, mainly freeze rotation and air control. If you turn off freeze rotation, it actually allows your character to topple over in kind of some cool, weird physics. And if you turn off air control, it forces you to be stuck after you jump. You can't actually change your direction to make it a little bit harder. So notice here, if I get hit and I fall over, my character actually topples over and has to actually manually get up. And it adds an extra little layer of difficulty to the game. And yeah, it's quite difficult to turn off the air control, but you're welcome to try it if you're interested. So some settings for you to play around with. I'm going to turn those back on. I've also provided an open level 2 that you could take a look at, which is just kind of a bit of a more empty template of some assets in the game that you can build on top of or delete and ignore entirely if you see fit. And then I provided you with some level templates. These are the basic starting points of a new level that we're going to be working in to create our own custom content here in our next video. You can choose the one that already has a skybox and some color on the player, or one that just has empty, nothing really added to it for you to start totally fresh. Before we dive into the next lesson though, I want to give you a quick tour of where some of our stuff is located so you can find it more easily as we go through later. In our animations folder is the controller that later on in the tutorials I'll show you how to set up your own custom animations with. In the effects folder are some materials that you're not going to touch, but the prefabs that you might want to, that have some different effects that you can drag and drop into your game that will have different kind of cool particle effect systems that if I run this, we'll be able to see, create some cool different particle effects of different types. So those are there for you to play around with when we get to that section. Under Level Manager, we'll ignore this for now actually. Under Materials are some of the colors that could be applied to the different things in our world that I'll show you how to create more of later. And under Player Models is the actual different animation models for the player that we're controlling that we'll talk about later as well. Under Prefabs are some of the materials that I've put in from our other sections for you to work with. That is our spinning obstacle. This is a balance beam platform. And then of course we have our breakable and not breakable walls that we can have into our game here. Here's the breakable one that gets put in. And our seesaw. So this is the ending platform, and we have our seesaw as well, the thing that tips back and forth as you walk on it. All things that we'll be adding in step by step to make our game more interesting and fleshed out. That's prepared for you there. Of course, our scenes that we've already looked at. Our scripts, where a lot of the code is stored. If you're curious to peek at the code, you can click on any one of these and see the code listed on the side. We're not actually going to be writing too much code in this section. It's a little more advanced than we're ready for, but we will be applying some of these scripts to our choices that we make in the game to customize the behaviors of different types of things. And finally, skyboxes. And here's something we can apply right off the bat right now. A skybox is kind of the way that the world around us that wraps around the game space looks. And each of these folders is a different subset of skyboxes. Let's take a look what's in here. All you really need to do is click on one and drag it into the scene. There's a nice kind of sunny, cloudy day. Here's like a blood moon lit night, a kind of heavenly, kind of too bright almost, and some more subdued tones. I like this one. I'm going to keep a kind of a sunsetty feel for my game. Feel free to apply whatever texture you want and get a little bit of a feel for the controls and how it kind of plays to move around in the scene. Oh, of course something broke. We'll fix that in the next one, but get a feel for it. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how we go about getting some things added into our world.